is the function? What is the function of the coolant? What is the function of the antifreeze? Yes, improve the heat transfer. Improve the heat transfer. That's the main function. In that case, water is a good coolant. Yes, fresh water is good, but fresh water have a couple of inconveniences. One inconvenience is the boiling point and the freezing point. The boiling point is too low. In other words, the fresh water become vapor easily and become ice easily. The coolant with the additives elevate the boiling point and decrease the freezing point. This is very important. Very, very important. In the middle, this is neutral. This is the point where the situation is better. In your body, if you try to keep the pH in 7, around 7, your body is stable. Too much acidity is not good. Too much alkalinity is not good. I'm going to explain later. This is a slide coming from my book of corrosion, and I am going to explain in the class of corrosion in details that situation. But too much acidic is not good. Too much alkaline is not good. Both situation, both extremes. What is the maximum alkaline? 14. What is the maximum acidity? 1. Both of them produce excessive corrosion. Both extremes are excessive corrosive. Okay, what is the procedure? What is the procedure when you take a sample of coolant? Okay, my recommendation is start the engine, run the engine until the engine reach the operational temperature. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning that the engine reach the operational temperature? Okay, because at that point the thermostat open and the coolant circulate complete. Remember, in the previous episode I explained, when the thermostat is closed, the coolant is not circulating complete on the pad. Immediately the thermostat open, the circulation is complete in between the heat exchanger and the engine. Okay, run the engine until the thermostat open, and stop the engine and wait until the temperature decrease around the ambient temperature, and open the cap on the expansion tank, and over there suction a small amount of coolant and introduce that small amount of coolant in the plastic container, in this container, in the reservoir, in order to send that sample to the laboratory. Those liners are surrounded by coolant. You remember the procedure to install the liners with the O-rings and the procedure step by step that I did in a previous episode? Okay. Remember that in between the top O-ring and the top of the cylinder liner, you have practically pure coolant surrounding the liners. This is an excellent design because the temperature of the cylinder wall is good, and it's easy when you need to repair the cylinder. You can replace the liner with the pistons for a new one, and you have a new standard piston and liner. This is good. Okay, but if the coolant is not appropriated, if the coolant is not the coolant recommended by the manufacturer, probably the cylinder wall, the liner, is attacked, and if the coolant is not recommended, the additives are not recommended for that engine, that liquid around the cylinder attack the cylinder and perforate the cylinder, and suddenly you have white smoke. White smoke, remember my friends, is always coolant entering in the combustion chamber, and this is the consequence. If you use the not appropriated coolant, this is the situation. The coolant attack the external wall of the liner, and perforate the liner, and of course at the end of the day enter in the combustion chamber and affect the performance of the engine. Yeah. In general, the liners, the wet liners, they have the three O-rings in the bottom. The top O-ring, normally the color of that O-ring is green, is in permanent contact with the coolant. And some liners, they have another O-ring on top. Okay. In other words, in this area, you always have coolant. This is the situation in outboards. In outboards, what is the first step when you finish on Sunday at 6 p.m. you was using your boat during the day, and you finish, you put the boat on the trailer, and what is the first step? Flush the engine. Flush the engine with fresh water. Because if you let the salt water inside of the block, produce too much calcium, too much magnesium, too much scale on the cavities where the water pass. And after that, when the salt water is moving, the heat transfer is not appropriated, and the temperature of the engine increase. This is a scale. A scale is accumulation of calcium or magnesium in the walls. Other important situation is the formation of bubbles of air. You remember the procedure that we used in a previous episode to introduce the liners, to remove the liners and introduce the liners. And you remember that I say to you that be careful with the O-rings in the bottom. Those O-rings should be original O-rings with the diameter appropriated and with the thickness appropriated. If you use improperly O-rings, or if you reuse the previous O-rings, probably the liner, when the engine is running, the liner is moving up and down. At what speed? High speed. How many times the piston goes up and down per minute? A lot of time. And the cylinder is moving up and down at high speed. What happens when the metal is moving up and down and the coolant is here? That excessive friction in between the metal and the fluid produce formation of bubbles. And those bubbles, when the temperature of the metal increase, what happens with the bubbles? The diameter increase. And in some moments, the bubble explode, and the bubble erode the metal, erode the cylinder liner. Okay, in other words, my friend, in a diesel engines is critical the condition of the coolant. Normally the people pay a lot of attention to change the oil and change the oil filter, but yes, I agree, is the most important, of course, but there are other two elements that the people never attend, like the oil. Is the air filter. This is, in my opinion, equal than the oil, and the coolant. The coolant, especially in diesel engines, is critical. The coolant is critical because the coolant is the element that help with the heat transfer. It's the element that transports the excess of temperature out. Yeah, this is very important. The coolant is important. For that reason, my friends, in the majority of the diesel engines, I recommend install coolant filter. Doesn't matter if originally the engine doesn't have coolant filter. No, originally the engine doesn't have a coolant filter. I don't need. Yes, my friend, I recommend install the coolant filter. It's not difficult. Like this, in this particular case, I recommend install here a valve. one valve here and other valve here. You close the valves, and you replace the filter without any problem. What happens if you don't have valves? You need drain the coolant located from here to here. You need drain a lot of coolant, and you spill coolant on the bilge of the boat. This is not good. It's not recommended. Yes, my friend, I recommend install those valves, and after that the procedure is too easy. You can buy coolant with those supplemental additives incorporated. The name of that coolant is the heavy duty coolant. Those are the typical gallons used for heavy duty coolant. If you check in the label, they say that they have incorporated the supplemental additives, and it's 50% of water and 50% of coolant. This is perfect for diesel engines. This is specific for diesel engines, and extend the life of the diesel engines. All right. This is a good antifreeze. There are other ones. I recommend check the manual, check the service manual, and verify if the coolant that you use actually have incorporated the supplemental coolant additives, or if it's necessary added additionally. How much supplemental coolant additives can I add? What happens if I added too much? Is catastrophic? It's not catastrophic. It's not catastrophic, but you need avoid the formation of sediments, the formation of solids. Where can I know if I have sediments? In the coolant reservoir. In the coolant reservoir, in the bottom of the coolant reservoir, there are accumulated a lot of sediments, and the color in the bottom change is because a lot of sediments. Right now we are going to talk the name of the most common sediments and the color, and it's easy to identify. Once again, my friend, it's important check the condition of the coolant. The recommendation is the appropriate coolant recommended by the manufacturer, and yes, you can use additives. The name of the additives are SCAs. You can add the additive solid in pills incorporated in the filter, or you can add the liquid additionally, or you can flush the system and use a new antifreeze coolant refrigerant with the SCAs incorporated like this.